One of my favorite things in the NHL is easily when we hear what the players are really saying. Hockey players have so much personality, and it's such a fun aspect of the game. Anyway, in tonight's Minnesota Wild versus Edmonton Oilers game, we heard Jordan Greenway chirping at Darnell Nurse.
A lot of jawing going on ice level before these teams.
For those who couldn't hear, he basically said, "You make $9 million and you don't do squat." He didn't say squat, but YouTube will demonetize me. And you know what? I gotta kind of agree with Greenway here. Darnell Nurse's $9 million deal he signed this summer signified to a lot of people, I think, that defensemen were about to be very expensive and take home some, let's be honest, inflated salaries. And I'm not even a Darnell Nurse hater. I really like the way he plays. I really like how he studies and loves the game, but he's not a $9 million defenseman, and his contract definitely hurts the Oilers. Anyway, it wasn't a great game for the Oilers overall, and certainly not Darnell Nurse. He was on ice for the first goal against, which was scored 7 seconds into a Minnesota power play. Zach Hyman would then even it up at the end of the first on, guess what, another power play. In my opinion, this was a bit of a weak call. I believe they called this a cross-check. Pretty soft. Minnesota would then score halfway into the second at the tail end of another power play, and on this one, Nurse definitely got caught standing around, and he missed a chance to bat the puck out of the zone. However, lucky for him, the goal was ultimately called back for an offside zone entry. Unfortunately for Edmonton, Minnesota would score another one just a couple of minutes later, and that would be it. So kind of a bummer of a game. McDavid's goal streak came to an end at 7, although he did get an assist on the one Edmonton goal. And yeah, just not great overall. There was also a weird situation at the end where Fleury hit an Edmonton player, perhaps accidentally, with his stick behind the net. I will say, forget about that. Fleury's pads, I kind of love them. Anyway, I do want to kind of return to the point of overpaid defensemen. First of all, I'm a bit of two minds when it comes to players taking salaries and contracts that they realistically can't live up to. I mean, people wonder why players don't take less. You do see it on teams sometimes, especially the Boston Bruins, for example, but just generally, it's in players' best interest for other players to get paid as much as possible. And I've heard that the union encourages players to get as much money as they can and help inflate salaries, although there's obviously a limit to that in years where the salary cap is somewhat stagnant, like it is now. On the other hand, contracts like Darnell Nurse's really hurt their team, and I can't help but feel like, I think Merrick said this today, you're running the risk of letting two of the best players in the NHL, including the very best player, McDavid and Draisaitl, somewhat wither on the vine a little bit. When there's a salary cap, if you take as much as you can possibly get, you're handicapping your team, unless you can live up to every dollar it's worth. That brings me to the Karlsson contract. There's been rumors today of Karlsson perhaps joining the Oilers. For one, I don't get how the salary cap on that works out. There would need to be not only San Jose retaining 50% salary, but also another team stepping in to retain some as well. The problem with that is Karlsson's contract is long. I don't think anyone wants to hang themselves on that, and Edmonton would have to give up so much. Again, this isn't a 1-year bad contract type of deal with a player slotting in with a high salary. Karlsson's contract runs until 2027. Edmonton will be accruing a bit of cap space based on Evander Kane's LTIR status. They probably want to let that build up and fill in, I think, their bottom 6. Get some goal support before taking a big risk on an offensive defenseman who's having a crazy resurgent season, or fill out your defense. Just my thoughts though, let me know yours down below.